Hi everyone, I'm Chef David Jahnke, and today I would like to share a few details with you about peelers, fruit peelers, vegetable peelers, asparagus peelers, just to show you a few details about them, also different types we could find in the stores, and of course also to show you how we can use each of those different peelers. Some of the ingredients we like to peel before you use them for other culinary processes. Usually it's because it could be very fibery texture on the outside, like for example with asparagus, and sometimes it's also a bit bitter. Also, like these days, if our product doesn't come from an organic farm or natural farm, the probability is very high that it's a high amount on toxics right close to the skin because of fertilizers of other chemical products which could have been used in the process by growing your product. In peelers, we have many qualities, of course. There's high quality peelers and low quality peelers. I will point out a few details about that in a few seconds. And just in general, of course, we want to have a sharp peeler and a good quality peeler to not, let's say, destroy the surface of our product, because it could now drain out. And that's very important, and that's why we want to have a good peeler and the sharp peeler. It's also more efficient and quicker when we use it. Sometimes we use the peeler to peel fruits. For example, the most common would be apple and pear. We can use them to peel certain kind of vegetables like the green, white or purple asparagus. To peel, for example, carrots, cucumbers, certain types of roots like for example horseradish, yucca root, beets. We also can use the peelers for cutting processes. For example, some people like to use them if you want to cut thin slices of a large cucumber or the large ray, let's say it like that, to reach like some very thin kind of sashimi slices. Or we also can do the same thing with carrots or with zucchinis. That works too and gives you a very equal cut. Of course, you have to have a wide blade peeler for that work. As I already mentioned, there are different types of peelers. For example, here are 3 different asparagus peelers. They specific made to peel asparagus. This one is one, it looks like a kitchen grab, which has in the inside 1 blade. This is a very similar one, but this one has 2 blades, which is actually double effective because now we can sharp the asparagus faster. And here's one which with just 1 blade, and this one actually we use this way. We can lay the asparagus down, and this is also actually would also help to cut vegetables, for example, to cut it in thin slices, because we don't have any bottom part which would bother us in the cutting process. So they would work for both. Those are, for example, 3 different types of specific asparagus peelers. We have different types of vegetable peelers, of course. There are different varieties. Actually, if we analyze, they always have kind of the same blade, which is a blade which is maintained by the grip and the blade holder. Same here, we have the grip, the blade holder, and the blade. Same here, the blade on the blade holder and the grip. The same here. This one is a bit different here. This one has a solid piece of metal transformed into a double-sized blade, which is now sticked into the grip. I personally prefer always the blades which are a little bit movable and have a rotation, and those ones we also actually can take out. They are removable. Those ones are a few types of vegetable peelers. Of course, there are many other designs and made by other companies. This one is an interesting peeler here. This one is just made for round surfaces, like for example to peel carrots, or like to peel also asparagus would also work. They're very efficient because since the shape is already round like a half moon, it helps us that we would lose more of the peel from our product we are peeling. Those 2 ones here actually look like peelers, but those are actually cutters. They have the same blade basically, but now they have like on the other side kind of some other small metal triangle sharpeners worked in, so every time you peel with them, they already come out cut into little stripes. Or for example, this one here, this is a multifunctional cutter which has also the same types of blades, and you can kind of change to the cut you want, either to stripes or like to a rough decorated surface cut. As mentioned, there are many types of peelers. I just have a few types here. As you can see, when we analyze them individual, beside that they have different functions, but they usually very similar, especially the blades on them is very similar. Sometimes they could change by the size. They could be a little bit longer than others, and that's of course always a benefit. I always would choose better a long blade than a short blade, but I also like those half-mooned round-shaped blades, which helps to peel carrots. Beside that, in general, the peeler could be made out of two pieces. It could have a grip, and now the blade stick into the grip, or it could be made of three pieces, where we have the grip, we have the blade holder, and now the blade inside it. Those are very common. We of course always want to make sure that we have a metal which will not oxidize. That does matter a lot. And beside that, also they could look at the weight. We don't want to have such a heavy peeler because it could make our arm tired very easy. So let me just show you very quick how to use the different types of peelers. First of all, I always recommend have your items in some water to wash off all the dirt or contaminating items, could be like surrounding or on your products, because if we want to use the peel after for other things, well, in that case they already washed off and we don't waste any of our food products. So for example, to peel a carrot, we use a vegetable peeler. Here in that case, we just cut off the ends. When you use, let's say, a round item, then I recommend that you hold it in your hand by rotating it. That way we can use a combined technique of movements which makes it much quicker and faster to peel our items. We can either make it to us, or you can also do it the other way against. That's however you feel more comfortable. We all have to find out by our own which technique is more comfortable for us, because there's different ways how we can do it, and different ways which could be efficient and correctly. So that's kind of how we work those vegetable peelers. It doesn't matter if it's like a potato or let's say a carrot in that case, or a cucumber, or whatever we want to peel. That's the movement we should make to make it quick and efficient, and also that way we have our hand and fingers below our peeler and we can't hurt ourselves in the peeling process. If we would now like to use one of those, for example, peelers which we also use for cutting processes to get thin slices, in that case we just lay our product down and we cut on the surface straight with those peelers to reach a very nice equal thin surface, which could help us for different culinary techniques, or even like for presentation. We can do that with cucumber, we can do that with zucchinis, we can do it with carrots. And those peelers, of course, beside cutting, also help for peeling techniques. No, for example, we have those asparagus peelers, which I already showed. They have two blades. They're very simple. Here in that case, we just go on the top and we just peel down, and we get two side of the asparagus peel at the same time. But if we use those pimple peelers, they're also great for asparagus, because asparagus is very delicate. If we would peel it that way, we have to make sure our arm is supporting the whole process, so we won't break the asparagus. The whites are more delicate even than the green. But we can just lie them on the board to rotate them, and then we can take those peelers and just take off the skin on the top. That works also very, very nice. Or even we could use one of those round shaped Halfmoon peelers, and the same thing. We just lie them down to support them by the surface, and they won't break. That's important. If we would now like to peel a round product, for example, like an apple, usually in that case, we support or we guide the peelers with our fingers, and then we just rotate basically the product in our hand, supporting it and guiding it until we finished peeling around the whole product. and in that case also we are able to get all the peel off with one single peeling. In the potatoes could be very similar. In that case I would always start from the top basically and then go from the top to the bottom. That way equally we can peel our product. Some of the peelers sometimes also have like a little, let's say, little corner or triangle, because for example the potatoes, they could have of course like a black point. So now we have those little triangles which also help us for the cutting part. There are different types and different ones. No, we can see this one is for example kind of dirty, and of course this one helps us a little bit to take those things off. No, beside that I always recommend take a look at the opening of your blade. Of course it's better when it's long, but it should not be too thick, because if it's too thick you will lose too much of your product every time you peel your product. So that's one important tip I would like to add. And beside that, always, like I said, you have to feel comfortable with the peeler. Hold it in your hand, work with it a little bit, and decide how you like to use it, and if it's a peeler which is good for your work you need it. Thank you very much for looking at my video today. I hope it was helpful and that you enjoyed it. I will also add all the information of the video in text below the video. I'm Chef David Jahnke. Have a wonderful day.